Okay, I don't know how long this will be, and it's about the intercepting of missiles and stuff. How ridiculous it is, okay? You know, it's always at nighttime, right? And that helps with the theatrics of the fireworks. Now, I'm not going to say that there's nothing at all that ever gets hit, okay? Very clearly that a lot of abandoned buildings, something happens once in a while. But we have to keep in mind, we're dealing with places that we don't go and visit. We don't hang out, okay? And other people in this world have telephones, okay? Throughout the world where all these big events are, people are people the same everywhere. They would pick up their phones and be recording stuff, and it would get out, okay? There would be thousands of videos instantly, if not hundreds. Or let's just say there was a few. They would get out, okay? So, I know you all are probably aware of these things, but as things escalate, don't get caught up in it because you're watching a theater. It's just a theater. These world leaders don't argue and fuss. That's only for us to think they're doing. War is just a blood let the ground. That's all that is a sacrifice that they're doing with humanity. It's literally a blood sacrifice to blood let the ground. And there's just so many ways to see this and how ridiculous it is. For a few years now, I'll often screenshot where they'll say something has happened and they'll show a building all messed up, right? And they always take the picture after evidently the fire is already gone and everything's done. It's just a building there. Maybe there's a little bit of smoke here or there, but you can screenshot any of these and reduce that picture down so that you're not capturing the whole picture, and do a Google picture search on it. You'll find out that most of these things are from where they have taken buildings down on purpose in places like Syria or other countries, okay? From the 80s even, sometimes further back than that. Why do they do that? Because they know humanity won't do that. So you got your green screen, and they'll take those images from long ago and CGI them, have a couple people walking around waving a flag on it, and away you go. The masses have no idea. Now, what is puzzling, and I've brought this up before, it's been some time back, but you know, why don't people take more videos in these other countries? And yes, I know there's some control over them, allegedly, that they can't put videos out. But they're not to that extent where no one would ever get those videos. That's just absurd. There's so many situations where they could. So you're dealing with people that are way far away. It's never like we're fighting someone that is next to us, all right? Like the alleged push with Canada for a while. That will not happen. That won't happen. Because people here know Canadians and Canadians know us, and the soil's too close together to pull off the skits, okay? So how can they have that many people quite possibly in on a theatrics that large? Very easy. You go back and visit Genesis. It's very clear There is a separate bloodline, okay? There are just as many of Satan's children here as there are of us, okay? There really are. I'm not saying everyone over there is in on it, but a great multitude. That's the only way they can keep pulling this off. And that's why they have us completely separated. And you got to keep in mind, this has been planned out not for a couple hundred years, not for 1,000. These skits have been rolling for thousands of years and keep resetting here. You always have to travel way overseas to fight somebody, right? Or it's so far back in time, like the Civil War, Revolutionary War, which I have exposed on here if you want to look at that. It's ridiculous. If you want a good laugh, look at the Revolutionary War or Civil War. This was just and it is a skit. You know, you have to keep in mind they have to have problems continually going on so that you need them to fix the problems, right? I mean, it's cut and dry. The average person gets along with people from other countries, okay? I have worked in other countries, and I have definitely worked with people of many nationalities all over this place, okay? I really have. I'm not pulling your leg, and I can tell you that the average working people know what blood, sweat, and tears are in real work. There's camaraderie there. They don't want us to have camaraderie, okay? They don't. Because if we are all getting along, well, then you don't need them, do you? That would cut their plan down like nothing flat. Just it'd be done. So there's always been wars, rumors of wars. Now, I'm not going to say that there hasn't been some real wars, okay? Especially way back, 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago. You may have had some small wars here and there. I'm not saying World War II didn't happen. I'm not saying World War I didn't happen. But that was nothing more than talking the people into fighting for something that was not really on the table. It was just to get them killed and blood let the ground. That's all it was. World leaders sit back on their soft chairs with their soft hands and watch humanity kill one another. How long do you think these wars would last if a real leader went out on the front lines? Well, there wouldn't be any. They wouldn't do it. They're cowards. That's why they have other people go out and die and blood let the ground. I said that word quite often, but for a reason. That is all that it is. It's just bloodletting the ground for a sacrificial ritual there. That's all it is. So I wouldn't get too worried about these bombs and, oh, we're helping this person, that person in their dome, and we're going to have a golden dome. Here's an iron dome. This is nothing more than a thinly written skit. In my opinion, was written by, at best, a half-wit. Okay? This is a half-wit's game. And that's why regular people overlook it, because they can't imagine it being this simple. Now, the Bible does say we're going to have wars and rumors of wars, right? I'm not taking that away. But you got to remember the rumors part. And you got to remember that we're in a theater. You got to remember that whether we want to admit it or not, most of us, there has been things tampered with in our Bibles. Okay? That's not like a stretch of the imagination. Christ warned that it would happen, so it's definitely happened and is happening. It's an ongoing thing. The nighttime theatrics, the green screens. Why do they always have a bombing in the middle of the night so you can see the streaks across the sky? Well, that's your stars and stripes, right? That's your 1776, your July. I've done this all over the place. And keep in mind, 1776 adds up to 21. It's not a coincidence. That means that's the 21st time they have started this reset, in my opinion. And if you go back and look into the antiquities of things, it's very clear that that is what has happened. Agenda 21 isn't coming. It's already here. That's something I hope people understand. When they tell you they're going to do something, it's already existing or has for a very long time. Nothing new under the sun. Let's remember our scriptures. Let's remember our common sense that the Lord has given us. You know, that goes right along with the AI system. Open AI, everybody's waiting for that to happen. That has happened a very long time ago. I'm quite sure at least a couple thousand years ago, AI has been completely operational here. You can see that so clearly just in the old books from the drawings and stuff they said they did from a bird's eye view. Mile high drawings, they call them. There's no capabilities back in for that, and we all fell for it, okay? So, just some food for thought. Don't let them gather your energy. This is nothing more than a big stage, a very pathetic stage, a very pathetic script, a very pathetic script writer. It's beyond stupidity what the average person is falling for. Don't allow that in your life. Now, I'm not saying don't expose these things. We're commanded to do that. You have to tell people they're in a theater because sooner or later, the show is over. Okay? And then they're going to lock the doors on the theater, and whoever's in there all Google-eyed at the screen still, eating popcorn, watching this garbage, is going to be in deep trouble. That's cut and dry. If you really look at things in this manner, common sense completely takes precedence. You know, it's been a couple years or more back, I did a video on COVID-19, okay? 19 is the letter S, and then you have a C, so what you really have a C, S. That's the initials for common sense, okay? That's what the mockery is there on that. It's not a coincidence. And then probably about a year ago, when I saw that he was coming in, I told everyone that he's going to push the word common sense, and he did that for a while, and he's still doing it. That's because that's what this is. It's common sense. C-19. That's not me being clever. If you really look at these things and break it down, that's what they have done, because systematically, the average person sorts these things out. Now, if I ask you what is the letter S, I would say almost everyone would have no idea instantly. I know because that's what I do and how I uncover things. But my point is your mind knows. And they know your mind knows. So that's how they brainwash. That's how they mock. That's how they entice. Initials are very important as well. This is a systematic, computerized program that they're playing on. It's a script. Okay, we have our scriptures. They have their script tours. Okay, they really do. Except for theirs is installed and pushed everywhere because it's a test on humanity. You know, whether or not you want to believe this, but if you break all of this down, even biblically, we are being tested for our common sins. All through the scriptures, we're warned about common sins. That's what's going on. And that's what's going to be going on until they cause humanity to stampede themselves. And how many times, even if you're not an older person or even middle-aged or whatever, how many times have you heard that the end of the world is here? Now, I'm not saying it ain't close, but it's not what we all were told. When it's very near, you'll know the hour, okay? You're not going to know exactly when, but this whole thing is about energy gathering. They need to push people to the very edge of that cliff and heighten this fear and anxiety, whatever it may be. Now, they're also going to heighten happiness and joy. They'll give you some of that here and there too, because they need the positive and negative energy. A battery does not work without a positive and negative feed. Okay? I'm not saying that there's a big battery in the sky that they're feeding. I'm saying that these things are parasitic, and the analogy of this is they cannot live without positive and negative, nor can you. That's how we operate. That is our bodies, okay? That's why you need to be grounded too. Now, I know I was all over the place and tethered in so many things, but I got a couple calls last night, people worried about the war and Iran. Of course it's Iran, okay? It's the eyeball, Iran. And the Russians, they'll rush in, okay? Russians rush in. Do you know how old that script is? How old is Russia? This hasn't been going on just since the shape-shifting garbage cans of 1776 came along. This has been going on for thousands of years. Okay? Nothing new under the sun. This is nothing more than a big theatrics down here. I'm not saying the satanic world's not real. It is, but they have to pull this off with smoke and mirrors because that's the only way they can do it. They're lame. They're half-witted. Don't give these fallen angels too much, I don't want to say the wrong word here. Don't think of them as all that intellectually proper, okay? They've stolen some keys and have some knowledge here and there, but they're not creators. They're just using stuff that they have been left with or stolen, okay? We are the creators. We were born from the real creator. Don't forget that. They are less than we are. They are just garbage. The dirt on your feet is 1,000 times more valuable than they could ever be. The dirt under your feet that you kick off before you go in the house. That's a fact. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them. Iron sharpens iron, and I appreciate every one of you. And you are all in my prayers and still doing the prayer times. Please, let's continue that and make that grow and find other people that will do this also. That's what they don't want. No camaraderie.